All right, guys, we're going to go over the proof worksheet number 4. So hopefully you have 1 through 3 already done. And as you can see today, we're going to be adding into these proofs, along with keeping everything else we've already done, complementary, supplementary, and linear pairs. So comp is complementary. Most of you probably already know this. Sup is supplementary. And remember, linear pair is just two angles, so like angle 1 and angle 2, that are side by side that together form a line. Okay, so if we go back to those sheets in our interactive student notebook, we have this linear pair postulate here that tells us if angle 1 and angle 2 form a linear pair, then the measure of angle 1 plus the measure of angle 2 equals 180. So linear pair postulate basically says if you have a linear pair, then they are supplementary. Okay, complementary, if you think back, now most of you do very, very well with complementary. If two angles are complementary, remember that they sum to 90 degrees. If you add them together, they'll equal 90. And then supplementary is like same but different. So if two angles are supplementary, if you add them together, now they equal 180. Okay, so hopefully that's review, but those are kind of the big ideas for this worksheet. So we're going to be using those throughout this, along with everything else we've already learned. All right, so let's look at this proof now. All right, we are given that angle AEB is a complement of angle BEC. Okay, all I did is I took those exact words and I put them in there. All right, now you have to ask yourself, notice that it tells you that we're using the definition of complementary angles. So you have to ask yourself, what is a complementary angle? Or what are complementary angles? Well, like we just said, they're two angles that add up to 90 degrees. So if these two are complements, that means angle AEB plus angle BEC has to equal 90 degrees. Okay, so if they're complements of each other, that means they equal 90 degrees. All right, now let's look at number 3. So we're given the left side of number 3. We have to figure out the right. So it says angle AEC equals AEB plus BEC. So at first thought, you're thinking, where in the heck did that come from? Okay, well, remember, we're not only given what's given here, we're also given this diagram. So if we look at this diagram, it says measure of angle AEC. So this, sorry, that's not a very good line. This angle here, measure of angle AEC. So that angle is equal to AEB, so equal to this, plus angle BEC, which is this. Okay, so go back and look on your sheet to see which postulate tells that to us. And it's something we've been using since section 1. This is the angle addition postulate. So you can add two angles that are side by side to equal the big angle. That's where that came from. Okay, now guys, I have angle AEC equals 90 degrees. Well, the reason I got that is because I put these two together. Okay, so I'm going to substitute. So I'm going to substitute. So I'm going to rewrite line 3. So angle AEC equals, now I'm going to substitute 90 in for this. And the reason I could do that is because I'm told AEB plus BEC, here's AEB plus BEC equals 90. So I'm going to substitute line 3 in for line 4. Okay, and I get angle AEC equals 90. All right, now number 5. If I look at number 5, it tells me DEA, so DEA, so this angle here, and angle AEC, which I already highlighted in red up here, are linear pairs. Well, guys, we know what linear pairs are, so that would just be definition of linear pair. Okay, now I'm going to go a step further. Because they're linear pairs, I know that they add to 180. Well, guys, isn't that right here? The linear pair postulate. If they form a linear pair, then they add to 180. So yes, that's true. Linear pair postulate, that's given to us. All right, now I'm going to substitute. Okay, so I have angle DEA plus angle AEC equals 180. I'm going to substitute now. So you need to look here to see where you can substitute. All right, well, notice the only thing you could substitute here is angle AEC, right? Because what does angle AEC equal? It equals 90. Okay, so I could say the measure of angle DEA plus I can substitute 90 degrees equals 180. So I substituted line 4 in to line 6. Okay, now how'd I go from line 7 to line 8? Guys, all I did is I subtracted 90 from both sides of the equation. So minus 90 minus 90, I get measure of angle DEA equals 90. That would be the subtraction property of equality. All right, let's look at example number 2. All right, so let's start with at least the first half of our given. So we have angle 1 and angle 2 are supplementary. That's given. And then we also have angle 3 and angle 4 are supplementary, so that's given as well. All right, so now you need to ask yourself, what does it mean to be supplementary? Well, guys, supplementary means they add to 180. So if angle 1 and angle 2 are supplementary, that means that the measure of angle 1 plus the measure of angle 2 equals 180. And then also, if angle 3 and angle 4 are supplementary, that means the measure of angle 3 plus the measure of angle 4 equals 180. Okay, that is just the definition of supplementary for both of those. Def of supplementary. All right, so now they both equal 180. So if they both equal 180, guys, if they equal to the same thing, they have to equal each other. Okay, so that's what I did here. They have to equal the same thing, they equal each other. Okay, so I substituted measure of angle 1 plus measure of angle 2 here equals, well, measure of angle 3 plus measure of angle 4. What does that equal? Look at number 4, it equals 180. So I substituted measure of angle 3 plus measure of angle 4 for 180. Okay, now I'm going back to the given. I know this isn't our normal routine, but we're normally not given 3 things. Angle 2 plus angle 4 is given. Go ahead and write that down. Well, if it's congruent to each other, then that means they're equal to each other. That's the definition of congruence. All right, now let's rewrite line 5 using line 7. Okay, so if I look at this, the only difference between this line and this line is here's a measure of angle 4 and here's a measure of angle 2. Okay, I'm changing the measure of angle 4 to the measure of angle 2. And why can I do that? Well, I can do it because the measure of angle 2 is equal to the measure of angle 4. So I'm going to say this is substitution. And then I'm going to say line 7 in for line 5. Okay. All right, now from here, guys, notice there's a measure of angle 2 on both sides, so I can subtract measure of angle 2 and subtract a measure of angle 2. And if I do that, then I get measure of angle 1 equals measure of angle 3. That's the subtraction property of equality. And guys, if I know they are equal, I know they have to be congruent just by definition of congruence.